And some of the introduction part about the blockchain, brief history about the blockchain, when the blockchain was introduced, and who introduced that, and what are the different milestones of the blockchain. That's what we are trying to understand here first. And also I will provide some blocks. I mean, what is a blockchain, what is a block exactly, all these things we are trying to provide. So in the year of 1991, there are two people, Scott Haber and Scott Stornetta. So these two people combinedly have written one first official documentation for the blockchain. These two people have released the first white paper about the blockchain. So there they have explained what is a blockchain and how it works, what are the characteristics about the blockchain, what are the rules of the blockchain, what kind of network we are trying to use in the blockchain. All these things these two people have explained in this first white paper about the blockchain. So there the blockchain technology born. But only concept is designed by these people, implementation is not done. Implementation is not done. What is the meaning of implementation? The real software is not ready, real network is not ready. So really blockchain, it does not exist. Only concepts are designed in the first white paper of the Scott Haber and Scott Stornetta. Okay. Next, later in 2009, okay, in the 2009 year, Satoshi Nakamoto. So this person has implemented the blockchain for the first time. I think you already know about the first implementation name. What is that? That is the Bitcoin. What is the first implementation name? Bitcoin is the first implementation of the blockchain. So blockchain is like a technology. Bitcoin is a real implementation of the software based on the blockchain technology. So now what I can say, later in the year of 2015, what happened is Vitalik Buterin. What's the person name? Vitalik Buterin or Vitalik Buterin, you can call Vitalik Buterin or Vitalik Buterin. So this person has re-implemented the blockchain, that is a Ethereum. So what I'm trying to say, blockchain is what? Technology. Based on that technology, Bitcoin is one implementation, Ethereum also another implementation. Understand the point here? So just a minute, 1 minute. So Vitalik Buterin, this person has implemented the blockchain that is called Ethereum. Really, this Ethereum is like a big milestone. It is changed the picture of the blockchain technology. Prior to this Ethereum, blockchain means only storage of some records, particularly financial records. If you come back to Bitcoin again, in the Bitcoin, we will store only the financial transactions. What is the meaning of financial transactions? For example, I'm transferring some money to you. You are transferring some money to your friend. Only financial transactions are recorded in the Bitcoin. It doesn't support smart contracts. It doesn't support the non-financial transactions. But if you go for the Ethereum, it is supporting the financial, non-financial, and the smart contract also. 3 points it is supporting. What are they? Tell me. Financial transactions, non-financial transactions, and smart contracts also it supports. Financial transaction means money transfers will be stored. For suppose from one account to another account, we have to keep on transferring some money. And the second one is non-financial transactions. Give me examples of non-financial transactions. Suppose land registration details you want to store. Suppose I'm selling my land, my 20 cents of land to you. You're selling the same land to somebody else. So in the real world, lot of transactions are happening daily. Daily, lot of people selling their properties, maybe buildings or land to other people. So all those things we can record. That is one example. Similarly, in the cloud servers, we can store the documents history, when which documents are being modified. So each and every copy of the document we can store. For example, in Google Drive, OneDrive, this type of cloud servers, we can maintain we can store the data. That is one example. So similarly, we can go for the voting systems, lotteries. So all these are examples of which one? Non-financial transactions. Smart contracts also make the blockchain reach to the next level. Smart contract means what? Programs. The programs execute based on the blockchain are called as what? Smart contracts. Generally, the programs means we may think about operating system based. Okay, for example, you take a Java program. The Java program or a .NET program executes based on the operating system. Of course, indirectly through JVM. That is a little bit technical matter. But overall, indirectly it is depending on the operating system, right? Of course, Java program directly depending on the JVM. JVM is based on the operating system or not. So indirectly our program is executing based on the operating system or not. So even Java, .NET, PHP, almost every language programs are executing based on the operating system. But if you take the blockchain applications, these applications work based on the smart contracts work based on the blockchain technology. Again, indirectly based on operating system, of course, but our programs are not based on the client server architecture. It is based on the which one? P2P network. I will explain what is a P2P network and all those things. So don't worry about it. So in a simple way to tell, the smart contract is a program that executes based on the blockchain. So why we have to create a program based on the blockchain? See, check the real world. For example, I'm going to sell my car. So I'm going to give my car to you. You are giving some money to me. So the money should be transferred only when the car is handed over to the customer, right? I'm going to sell my car to you. Okay. So you are giving the money. So money should be transferred from your account to my account only when the car is submitted, when the car is hand over to you. So there is a logical condition or not. If this condition is true, then only this transaction should be appear. So such type of logical abilities can be bring by using the programs. That programs are what? Smart contracts. Means we will create a smart contract and we will check the reality. If the car is submitted, then only money should be transferred. So such type of programs we are able to embed in the blockchain. That is what we call it as a smart contract. For another example for the smart contract, for example, there is one organization and all of you are the employees in that. So at the month end, some salaries should be submitted. So when you submit the salaries, every employee is having his own pay scale and basic salary, some allowances, some tax, some lot of deductions, lot of additions, some may be there, and depending on the number of hours he worked, depending on a lot of other factors, the actual pay amount needs to be decided for every employee individually, and all these things needs to be sent. I mean, the money should be sent. So all these things I want to integrate in the program, in the blockchain program. So there is the money involved. At the same time, some processing also should be done. Actual sending the salary is nothing but financial transactions. For example, one bank transfer. But at the same time, before that, the calculation processing should be done. So for doing this particular process, we require to write some program. That program is what? Smart contracts. Previously, we were writing this type of programs and it is working based on client server architecture. But what makes the difference between a regular program and a smart contract is all the regular programs. In the regular programs means the C language program, Java program, everything works based on client server architecture. But this blockchain is entirely against to the concept of client server. No client, no server in the blockchain. Every individual machine is called as one node or peer. Overall, we have a peer-to-peer network. So the smart contracts are executing based on the blockchain. The blockchain is maintained based on the peer-to-peer network. In the peer-to-peer network, no server, no client. So in the further moments, I will explain how the peer-to-peer network is maintained, all those things. Just wait for the moment. So we have understood the general awareness about the smart contracts. So mainly the introduction of the smart contracts make the blockchain reach to the next level. Okay, that is what we call it as what? Ethereum. Alpha getting the point, Ethereum. Right. Next, we also have something called as in 2017, one new technology come into picture, that is IBM and Linux Foundation. These two organizations have created something called as Hyperledger. What is that Hyperledger? IBM, already we know the IBM and they started develop manufacturing the computers in the very early stages of the computers era also. So whatever IBM and Linux Foundation, the introduction is not required for these two organizations, well popular. The Linux Foundation itself is created the Linux operating system, which we use in almost every company, and Node.js kind of technology is also released by Linux Foundation. Lot of. So this IBM and Linux Foundation collaboratively working together to make a new framework called Hyperledger. Hyperledger also works based on which one? Blockchain. Bitcoin works based on blockchain. Ethereum works based on blockchain. Hyperledger also works based on blockchain. Blockchain is underlying technology for all these three. Here also, same as Ethereum, it can record the financial, non-financial, and the smart contracts also. But the major difference between the Ethereum and the Hyperledger is, in the Hyperledger we maintain permissioned network. What is the meaning of permission network? When you come back to the Ethereum, it's like a public network. Ethereum is like a public network. What is the difference between permission and public network? In case of public network, any individual person can join the network without the permission of any other. For example, there is some Ethereum network. I'm trying to join the Ethereum network. I don't require to take any permission from the centralized authority or any other person. I can just join myself simply by installing a software in my system. So when I install that software, automatically my device, my laptop or desktop will be converted into a node in the network, so that I will be able to communicate with the system. Suppose I can transfer some money online. So there is no any centralized authority to organize, to give the permission to everyone. But this Hyperledger is not like that. It's not a public. It is a private, what you can say direct permissioned network. Permissioned network means only for the known organizations. For example, in the supply chain management system, there are some set of companies who manufacture the raw products, and there are some other company who uh, create the finished product, and some other company will transport it, some other company like a distribution related company, and some other company is a retail company, for example Big Bazaar. So all this process needs to be having their own network. All the companies involved in this process, starting from the raw material production till the retail sales, n number of companies, for example 10 companies are there. All these 10 companies wants to have their own network for their own data sharing purpose. Presently in this existing system, each company is having their own database management system. there will be a lot of synchronization problems between one database to another database. But in this Hyperledger, since all these organizations are using centralized, what you can say, not centralized, a common, data management system. So synchronization problems and lags in that miscommunication will not occur. So they will have a direct communication between one company to other company, and all those are having an centralized, unified database management system. That is the goal of the Hyperledger. So in our course, we have two things like, blockchain core and blockchain advanced. Two parts of the course available. Two courses. Blockchain core, blockchain advanced. Blockchain core covers three parts. Blockchain theory concepts, starting from the basics of the blockchain. What is a blockchain and how it works, how the blocks arranged, cryptography basics, and how the mining works, validation works, all these fundamental parts. And then we will go through the Bitcoin. But to be frank, in the Bitcoin, there is nothing to develop actually. Developer activities are very less in Bitcoin. This concept we have to learn, and there is nothing to develop in the Bitcoin particularly. Because Bitcoin doesn't support any smart contracts mechanism. So there is no any programming language involved in this. There is no possibility of writing any smart contracts in the Bitcoin. Only concepts we have to learn. Everything like a predefined software in the Bitcoin. But most focus we have to keep on which one? Ethereum. So Ethereum, there is a lot of development scope, a lot of job opportunities also based on what? Ethereum. So even Bitcoin can be learned by even non-IT people also. But Ethereum development only done by the developers. So these three is equal to the first course, which is the current course, that is equal to blockchain core. And the second course, after completion of this course, you can join another course that is a blockchain advanced, which covers only Hyperledger. So first we have to complete the blockchain core, then only you're able to understand blockchain advanced. Just as something like a core Java, advanced Java we have. First we have to complete this blockchain core, and then we have to continue with the which one? Blockchain advanced. There we will cover the Hyperledger. And each of these will take 45 days of time. Okay, each of these will take 45 days. Approximately 45 days. There is no time constraint. Maybe 10 days more also. Okay, just idea wise, I just say 45 days. And 5 days a week classes will be taken. Okay, 5 days a week. Okay. Okay, the prerequisites course is what? JavaScript basics required. At least what is JavaScript over the console.log function, the objects, okay, and DOM manipulations also even not required. Just objects topic is enough. Control statements and objects. And object-oriented programming knowledge. This one you can have from any object-oriented programming language, like what you can say, so Java, C Sharp, .NET, any other programming language. So that could be enough. Okay.